I'm going to introduce the next writer who, his introduction was written by Kevin Killian. Neil Uzzell was born in Graham, North Carolina in 1983. He came to San Francisco after Johnson in Monterey, Russia, Paris, and Havana. Though he's been everywhere, he retains the soft vowels and bird consonants of the South, and I suspect that, like Faulkner, for him the past isn't dead. It's not even past, for his youth travels with him wherever he goes. His heroes are often young men, confused by rigid, punitive social systems and mortified by their own puny desires. I get a little uncomfortable reading his work sometimes because it hits so close to home. In short, Neil is a storyteller. He'll show up to your Parisian poetry slam wearing a nicely coordinated scarf and cowboy boots. Then he'll vomit in your rose garden and serve you creme brulee. Neil Uzzell, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Are we good? Good? Yeah? Someone in the back is pointing up. People in the back, oh good, okay, good. There are a lot of people that I'd like to thank here tonight before I get started, and I'm going to start with Mr. O'Connor. He let me crash at his couch for 6 months before I came to grad school. Seriously. I'd like to thank Matt Earborn. He does a serious markups on my thesis. It was great. I'd like to thank Kevin Killian for lighting a fire under my ass in the past few months. And I'd like to thank John Lasky for his ability to read and critique work for what it really is. And I'd also like to thank everybody who's made this night possible, all the students and staff. And I'd also like to thank everyone for coming tonight. You may have heard this before. The story is called Awesome. My mom doesn't like for me to go out of the house because of my allergies. So pretty much what I do all day is sit around playing Mortal Kombat with my best friend Steve. He is an awesome gamer. He knows all of the special moves and fatalities for every character. He usually wins when we play versus mode, but sometimes I'll surprise him with a sweep kick and an uppercut. It's awesome. Speaking of which, my mom is thinking about letting me take karate lessons. There's a kid at school, Alan Rayner, who always puts my head in the toilet during bathroom breaks. And sometimes, because I only weigh 75 pounds, he'll stuff me in the trash can so that I get all scrunched up inside of it and can't get out. Once he tried to do it to Steve, but Steve weighs 175 pounds, so Alan couldn't pick him up. Instead, he took his inhaler and stomped on it. It was not cool because when Steve gets all excited, he can't breathe. He was leaning against the flagpole and wheezing, "I need my inhaler," until one of the people from the office came and called his mom. I was thinking that one day when I get a black belt, I'm going to surprise Alan with a karate kick to the groin, just like in Mortal Kombat. It'll be awesome. Sorry, my mouth is a little bit dry. I really hate Alan. He's always mean to me and Steve. I think it's because we're the only members of the chess club and the audio-video club. I'm the video guy and Steve is the audio guy, but sometimes we switch. Most of the time we make recordings of bugs. My favorite bug is the praying mantis. It looks like it's praying, but it's really praying. Get it? Once, Steve and I recorded a female praying mantis biting the head off a male praying mantis after mating. Steve did this awesome voiceover where the male praying mantis was getting all into it before he was decapitated. We sent it to the Discovery Channel and they put it on one of their nature documentaries. Of course, it didn't have Steve's voiceover on it, but that's okay. Steve and I do other things too, like go to the library. We used to sit on the bleachers and watch girls' tennis practice. Christy Scott was on the team, and I liked to watch her run around the tennis court in her skirt. But the coach got mad one day when Steve started videotaping the girls doing jumping jacks. After that, we started hanging out at the library. That's really the only place near the school that we can go and not get picked on by the other kids. Sometimes when we aren't doing math homework, we sneak into the photography section and look through the books of pictures of naked girls. You're only allowed to bring the books into the bathroom, so it's best to get a good picture of them in your head before. One time, I actually checked out one of the books. I took it home, and when I thought my mom was asleep, I spread it out on the floor and started going through the pictures. There was a picture of one man's private parts chopped in half and 2 rings and a chain attached to him. Underneath it read, Prince Albert. I don't really know who Prince Albert is or why they took a picture of his penis, but when my mom walked in, she totally flipped out. I pulled my pants up really quick and got all red in the face. "Your father would turn over in his grave," she said. Sorry, I just realized something. Sorry. Okay. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. Sorry, that's not good. Is there a piece of paper underneath my chair over there? Sorry. Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh, okay. That Wednesday evening, she made me go to youth group. I had to sign a paper that was a promise to God that I would never sleep with a girl before I got married. The people at youth group seemed nice at first. They gave everybody food, and we played kickball out back. Then afterwards, the youth leader, John, read passages from John. He invited me on a pilgrimage, and my mom told me I had to go. All the kids that went on the pilgrimage were skater kids. They told me that if I could do a kickflip, then I would be cool, but I couldn't, so I wasn't. Then they told me if I played truth or dare with them, I would be cool. It was kind of weird because it was all boys in the room, and they told me that I had to strip naked and run around in the hall. I didn't really want to, but they told me if I didn't, they were going to beat me up, so I did. After that, they wouldn't let me back in the room, and I had to stand out in the hall until John showed up and made them open the door. He told me that he was really ashamed of me and he wasn't sure if I would be invited on any more of the church pilgrimages. I said that was okay, just as long as I could have my pants back, because standing naked in the hall sort of made me feel like I was in gym class. In gym class, I always try and change really quick because I don't like to be naked around the other guys. They have hair in places that I don't. Once, Coach told me that I had to take a shower with the other boys, so I went into the locker room and took my clothes off. When I got in the shower, all the other boys started making fun of me and calling me Slick Rick. I didn't really understand the joke at first, but when I figured it out, I decided to chop off some of Pepper's hair, that's the dog, and glue it on for the next day at gym class. It almost lasted until gym 2, but during Mr. Grady's explanation of the quadratic formula, it started itching so bad I had to go to the bathroom and wash it off. It still itched after that. It itched so bad that I walked around with my hands in my pockets all day long. Occasionally, when I thought no one was looking, I had long, satisfying scratching spells. When I got to gym, Coach asked me why I was masturbating myself, and I told him that it itched. Then he said, "Well, you ain't been running enough to get jock itch. You're gonna have to stick it out today, boy." Still, it felt really good sliding down the rope and over all those knots. But it didn't really feel so good being called Slick Rick. I was glad that it was the end of the week and the new World of Warcraft expansion pack was coming out. If it had been Monday, I might have ran outside and hidden on the gym steps, just like the other day when Alan pulled my pants down in front of the whole gym. It was not cool. But this day was different. Mom was driving us to the GameStop at 11 o'clock at night so we could get the new Rich King World of Warcraft expansion pack. Steve and I had been saving our allowances for nearly 2 months now. We were going to dress up like night elves, wait in line with all the other gamers, and be the first to get it. Then we were going to go play online until our fingers were stained orange with Cheeto and our eyes were bulging out of our heads. If I could get quietly through lunch, then the only thing left was band. During lunch, I ate school pizza and tater tots. I didn't really taste the food because all I could think about was leveling up my night elf. I was so busy thinking about the World of Warcraft that when I got up to throw away the rest of my tray, I walked straight into Alan Rayner and spilled the rest of my milk on him. He looked really mad. "It was an accident," I said. "You just spilled your milk all over me, you little shit," he shouted. "Well, there's no use in crying over spilled milk." "We'll see who's crying after school today," he said, pointing at me. All the kids at the table next to us chanted, "Ooh," in unison. After I threw away my plate, I started feeling sick. I was halfway out of the lunchroom when I vomited on the floor right next to Christy Scott's table. "Ew, can you believe that guy?" she said to one of her friends. I decided to go to the bathroom after that. I just stood there for what felt like a really long time. Then I started thinking about what would happen if Alan Rayner had to use the bathroom or something. The only person that showed up was Steve. "Everyone in the lunchroom is talking about you," he said, all excited. "Why are they talking about me?" "Mostly because Alan Rayner is going to pound you after school today." "Thanks, Steve." "And you threw up in front of Christy Scott." "Thanks, Steve," I said. When the bell rang, I rinsed my mouth out with water and snuck out of the bathroom. I managed to get my clarinet out of my locker without anyone seeing me. Then I ran really fast to band so that I wouldn't be late. When I got there, the woodwind section was sitting in a semicircle putting their instruments together and doing warm-up exercises. I cringed a little because my reed was chipped. When I played the high notes during rehearsal, I squeaked a couple of times and made all the other kids grit their teeth. "Man, I'm glad I don't have to fight Alan Rayner," someone whispered. When we played the piece, Mr. Green looked at me and said, "Your reed is chipped." I was a little bit disappointed that Mr. Green scolded me. I usually do well in all my classes, but today I was really more focused on the clock. I knew that when the bell rang, I would have to run to the front of the school and hope to God that Mom was waiting for me. Otherwise, Alan was going to catch me and pound me into mush. When the minute hand hit 3 o'clock, my hand started shaking so hard that I had to put down my clarinet. "Why is the bell ringing? It says 3 o'clock. Maybe this will be better. Mom will have more time to get there. But then Alan is just going to find me on Monday. Maybe he will have forgotten by Monday." All these thoughts in my head made me wonder if I needed an inhaler like Steve, or maybe some of those pills that make you calm down. Then again, it seemed like everyone else in the class was just as fidgety as I was at 3 o'clock. Everyone was shifting back and forth in their chairs, and some were playing the Pink Panther on their saxophones. It was kind of relaxing. But when the bell rang, I wasn't relaxed anymore. What should I do? Stay here and try to find some reason to talk to Mr. Green? No, that would only give all the teachers enough time to get in their cars and drive home, and then it'll just be me and Alan. So I should make a dash for the student pickup lot? No, that would just draw a lot of attention to you. I decided to walk at the regular pace with the rest of the kids. If I stay with the herd, I'd be much less likely to be picked off by wolves. I thought about just going to the office and waiting for my mom to come pick me up there. But if I did that, then the people in the office might start asking questions, and that would make for an even bigger pounding on Monday. As I passed the flagpole, a strong hand grasped my shoulder. It was Alan. "Where you going in such a rush?" I'm not in any big rush," I stammered. People were beginning to gather around us. I felt like I was in a dream. I could feel my heart starting to pound like the first time I fought Ruby Weapon in Final Fantasy VII. I knew I was fighting a monster that I didn't have time to level up for. I remember wishing that we were in the World of Warcraft. That way I could cast an invincibility spell and he couldn't hurt me. Or maybe if I summoned Leviathan, I could destroy him before he had a chance to hit me. I lifted my arms into the air and jumped up and down like I'd seen in the video game. Then I thought I heard someone say, "He's prancing around like a fruitcake." But then I heard Steve loud and clear, "Summon the Phoenix!" The last thing I remember were Alan's fists flashing in front of me. Then everything was spinning and all these different faces were looking at me from above, some with sad eyes, some with happy eyes, some with mouths wide open, and some were just there watching. Thank you.